Have you ever felt like something deep within you was waiting to be remembered? You try to align your thoughts, raise your frequency, chant mantras, meditate in silence. You consume ancient wisdom, surround yourself with healing crystals, try to be present. But no matter what you do, something still feels stuck. The anxiety doesn't fully lift. The clarity doesn't stay. The shift you're waiting for keeps slipping through your fingers. And what if the reason has nothing to do with your thoughts, but everything to do with what you're not moving? Buried at the base of your spine, there is a bone. It's not just structure. It's a keeper of ancient vibration. A physical key holding a frequency your soul has been trying to unlock for lifetimes. This sacred core is so ignored, so underestimated, that entire generations have lived and died without ever activating it. And yet, within it lies a code, a dormant pulse, a forgotten rhythm that doesn't just change how you feel. It changes how reality responds to you. Today, you'll remember what the ancients never forgot. Because once you start moving this sacred center, just a few minutes a day, your entire vibration begins to speak a different language. One that the universe recognizes. One that commands reality to shift. And it all begins with one pulse, one hidden movement, and one decision to no longer stay still. You meditate. You journal. You repeat affirmations every morning. You read the sacred texts, recite invocations, sit in stillness, hoping for peace to finally settle in your body. And yet, the anxiety lingers. The mental fog returns. The sense of separation keeps pulling you into loops of frustration. You begin to wonder if you're doing something wrong, or if maybe you're just not spiritual enough. But what if the real reason you feel stuck has nothing to do with your thoughts, and everything to do with your spine? There is a silent place in your body that you've likely never moved with intention. A place the modern world ignores, but ancient wisdom revered as the very seat of vibrational power. It's not your mind. It's not your heart. It's the base, the root, the foundation your entire being rests upon. The sacrum. This bone isn't just anatomy. It holds vibrational memory. It carries the pulse of ancestors. It is the first bone to form in your mother's womb and the last to decay when you die. Between those two thresholds, birth and death, your soul depends on this center to rise. But the world taught you to seek power through the mind, to unlock the third eye, bypass the body, and look for signs in the sky, while the most sacred portal sits quietly at the base of your spine, frozen, unheard. You're not stuck because you're not thinking the right thoughts. You're stuck because you haven't moved the part of you that was designed to set everything else in motion. Today, you'll remember how to move the base, and when you do, the shift begins. The sacrum. Its very name means sacred. But few ask why. For generations, it has been dismissed as just another bone in the human body, a structural anchor at the bottom of the spine. But ancient traditions saw something very different. They recognized this region as a vibrational throne, the starting point of all real transformation. In ancient Egypt, the sacrum was energetically linked to the base of the Jed pillar, a symbol of spiritual resurrection and inner alignment. To the Toltecs, it was known as the drum of consciousness, beating the rhythm of presence through the body. Hermetic masters believed it to be the root of manifestation, not through thought alone, but through embodiment. These weren't metaphors. They were maps of energy, direct pathways into altered states of being. The Taoists placed the lower dantian, the center of internal alchemy, directly within this region. They believed it was where raw life force, qi, was refined into awakened consciousness. And now, thousands of years later, science is catching up. Somatic neuroscience is beginning to confirm what the mystics always knew. Conscious pelvic movement, specifically activating the sacrum with intention, can influence the flow of cerebrospinal fluid, stimulate the vagus nerve, balance the lymphatic system, and restore blocked perception pathways. This is more than spiritual symbolism. It's biological fact. The sacrum doesn't just support your spine. It broadcasts a frequency. And when it's frozen, through trauma, neglect, or cultural disconnection, your energetic field becomes static. You might think clearly, visualize often, chant regularly, and still feel unseen by the universe. But when you move the sacrum, your vibration becomes felt. Reality begins to respond, not to your thoughts, but to your embodied signal. Because before consciousness ever spoke a word, it moved. And movement is how we return to what we've forgotten. Stand up. Gently bend your knees. Let your feet rest parallel, aligned with your hips. Now, close your eyes. Bring your awareness to the base of your spine, not as anatomy, but as memory. Then, begin to draw a soft, endless loop with your hips, like a sideways figure eight. Smooth, continuous, no tension, no thought, just rhythm. This is not choreography. It's an invocation. The horizontal eight is one of the oldest sacred gestures encoded across ancient cultures as a symbol of infinity and inner flow. But here, it serves a deeper purpose: to awaken the base. Each curve you trace begins to dissolve old muscular tension stored in your pelvis, your psoas, your nervous system. You are not simply stretching. You're remembering. Breathe deeply as you move. Inhale through the nose. Exhale softly through the mouth. As breath and motion synchronize, a loop of energy begins to form. Subtle, but real. This is how your body starts to shift its vibration. Not by force, not by control, but by entering rhythm. After a minute or two, you may notice a soft warmth rising, or silence replacing your mental noise, or simply the feeling of being present inside your body, without judgment, without needing to understand. This is the first key, the first pulse, and it doesn't require belief, only motion. Because when your hips begin to move in this sacred shape, your soul starts to speak the language it never forgot. Remain standing. Keep your feet grounded, shoulder width apart. Now, shift your awareness to your pelvis once again. But this time, invite a new direction. Vertical. Gently tilt your hips forward, then slowly bring them back. Let the motion rise and fall like a wave. Not rigid, but fluid. There's no rush, no perfection, just breath, movement, and presence. As you begin this subtle dance, something ancient awakens. This vertical motion activates what mystics called the sacral to pineal axis, a hidden current that rises through your spine, sending vibrational messages to your brain. Through this simple gesture, cerebrospinal fluid begins to move upward, touching centers of intuition, awareness, and emotional clarity. With each inhale, tilt the hips forward. With each exhale, return to center. Let breath guide the wave. Let rhythm lead. You are not performing. You are tuning. This movement gently reorganizes your internal field. It helps clear stagnant signals and invites coherence between your base and your mind. Some call it alignment. Others call it inner harmony. But here, it's simply truth in motion. You may begin to feel a lift, a lightness in the chest, or a subtle vibration along the spine. Even if you feel nothing, the signal has been sent. The code has been activated. In a world that glorifies the mind, this wave brings the body back into the temple. And when the body leads, the mind follows. Not with control, but with reverence. Lie down on your back, bend your knees, place your feet flat on the ground. Let your arms rest gently by your sides. Now, close your eyes, not just to the outside world, but to awaken the one within. Bring your attention inward, not to your thoughts, not to your breath, but to the center of your pelvis. Feel it, not as bone, but as a living space, a bowl, a vessel of vibration. Now, imagine, without moving physically, a slow spiral turning within the depth of your pelvic center, like breath taking the shape of a circle, inward, gentle, timeless. This is not visualization. It's cellular memory being accessed. Ancient traditions knew that the spiral was more than a symbol. It was the pattern of life, the structure of galaxies, the map of awakening encoded in the body. As you hold this inner spiral in awareness, you begin to unlock layers that your conscious mind cannot reach. You awaken instinct, intuition, and energetic safety. Do this for 3 minutes. You may not feel anything. That's okay. The spiral doesn't need your effort. It only needs your presence. And the less you try, the more the body responds. This movement is invisible, but its effects are profound. It reorganizes what was forgotten. It restores what was buried. And it calls your body to remember its original rhythm, before fear, before shame, before silence. The spiral knows the way back. You only need to listen. Now, either sit comfortably or lie down with your spine supported. Place both hands gently over the base of your abdomen, just above the pubic bone. This is your root center, where life first stirs, where presence begins to rise. As you inhale, feel that area expand softly. Let the breath create space, not through force, but through invitation. As you exhale, allow the area to return to center. No pressure, just release. Now, introduce a micropulsation. With each exhale, gently contract the muscles of your pelvic floor, as if giving a subtle upward push from within. A sacred lift, a secret signal. This motion isn't visible to others, but inside you, it speaks volumes. It sends a wave up the spine, activating neural pathways linked to awareness, perception, and the regulation of your personal energy field. The vagus nerve, your body's bridge between gut and brain, begins to respond. Cortisol lowers. Calm returns. And your inner compass begins to realign. This practice is ancient, rooted in tantric disciplines, reflected in Taoist breathwork, echoed in modern somatic science. But here, you don't need lineage. You need presence. As breath and pulse merge, you begin to feel your body as a field, not a form. And within that field, a new intelligence starts to speak. You're not imagining energy. You're awakening it. And each time you exhale with that sacred pulse, you remind your system, I am alive. I am connected. I am ready. The first time Elias felt the floor beneath him vibrate, he wasn't in a monastery or retreat center. He was in his darkened bedroom, shoulders hunched, spirit worn. Another day had passed where he'd smiled through the weight, spoken through the fog, and convinced everyone he was fine. But inside, he wasn't. He wasn't seeking a miracle. He wasn't searching for enlightenment. He just wanted to fall asleep without the ache in his chest. Then, something shifted. Not in thought, but in instinct. Without knowing why, Elias got out of bed. He turned on a deep, slow rhythm. One of those low, tribal beats that feels more like a heartbeat than a sound. He let it play in the background and simply began to move. His hips swayed, barely, almost clumsy. Not like dancing, more like remembering. The motion felt strange at first, then familiar. Ancient. The curve became a figure 8. The stillness became a wave. A spiral formed in his core. And he started to breathe in time with the rhythm, without thinking, without forcing. And then, something unexpected happened. The noise in his mind went quiet. The heaviness began to lift. A warmth, subtle but steady, rose from the base of his spine, moving upward like a whisper of life returning to places long abandoned. He didn't know what he had activated. He didn't even care to name it. He only knew he had touched something real. In the days that followed, Elias returned to the movements. He added the breath. He pulsed. He spiraled. He didn't know the techniques or the science, but his body did. And that was enough. What once felt like anxiety became presence. The inner silence, once terrifying, now felt sacred. His body was no longer a stranger. It became home again. Elias didn't ascend into light. He didn't become a guru. He became available to himself, not through philosophy, but through motion. The biggest obstacle isn't the movement itself. It's the resistance to begin. Not because your body is incapable, but because your conditioning runs deep. You were trained to believe that transformation comes from the top, through thought, logic, insight. That the mind is the master and the body just the vehicle. That silence means peace and stillness equals control. So when you're shown a movement, simple, subtle, primal, part of you hesitates, doubts, even dismisses it. Can something this basic really shift anything? That hesitation isn't your wisdom. It's your addiction to complexity. We've been taught to worship understanding, but healing rarely makes sense at first. It makes rhythm. It makes memory. It makes movement. And deeper still, there's another layer. Fear. Because the pelvis, the root, the sacral region, is also where we bury what we don't want to feel. Shame, trauma, unspoken memory, stored emotion that the mind cannot process but the body never forgets. To move the sacrum is to touch what's been locked away. That's why so many avoid it. Not because they're lazy, but because they're protecting themselves from a flood they fear they can't contain. But what if you didn't need to fix it all at once? What if healing isn't about force, but permission? 1 minute a day, one breath, one spiral. No performance, no goal, just presence. You don't need to open the whole vault. You just need to crack the door and let your body remember that it's safe to feel again. You don't need more theories. You don't need to chase more signs. You need to move. Not with effort, but with awareness. Because your body has never forgotten how to align with creation. It's just been waiting for you to come home. The sacrum isn't just a bone. It's the base of your spiritual architecture. And when you awaken it, everything above begins to reorganize. You no longer have to force the universe to hear you. When your body moves in rhythm, the universe doesn't resist. It responds. So start small. 1 minute, one breath, one gesture of presence, and feel how reality begins to pulse differently. This isn't about blind faith. It's about sacred rhythm. Because between knowing and living lies a portal. And that portal begins where your hips remember, your breath returns, and your sacrum pulses once again. Now, if this message stirred something in you, leave a comment below and write, "When I move my sacrum, my reality listens." Let that be your vibrational anchor. Your first spoken signal to the field. Like this video to support the frequency. Subscribe to Divine Codes to continue unlocking your sacred architecture. Share this with someone whose mind is tired, but whose body is ready to remember. And if you're ready for the next vibration, click on the screen now and enter a new portal.